Okay friends, let's take a closer look at this strange Fengyun T11 model today. First of all, whether it is the previous A9L or this car, the data during blind ordering is actually very good. And we have tried the A922 car in detail and in depth before, and it is a long distance find. The main reason why it sells well is that the price-performance ratio is really super high, so you can also look forward to the price of this car. It will definitely not be said to be particularly high. It will be officially pre-sold immediately, and it will be officially available in another month. Withdrawing from the market, at the same time, under this circumstance, when we see some configurations of this car today, we will feel that the price is still very high. Then let's see it little by little. First of all, in terms of styling design, the size of this car and its sense of consideration have been extended to its length, which has exceeded 5.2 meters. And the most important thing is that the wheelbase exceeds 5 meters, so this is actually compared to its most direct competitors, such as Jilin and M9. It will have some more obvious advantages in the wheelbase. What about after the wheelbase gets bigger? Whether it is in terms of styling design, such as its front overhang and rear spin, this sense of proportion will be better. And at the same time, the internal space will be better guaranteed. So this is the largest difference between Jilin and M9, the difference in size. If you're looking at it from this angle, this part of the front of its car will appear more vertical. This more vertical feeling will make the visual effect on the side look a little more solemn. Or what about the feeling of a larger device? The feeling of the front connection is very square and square. This is this car. I think the design is very beautiful. Of course, the other thing is that if you look at it from the side of the car body, this car is a two-color splicing. Of course, it also has a solid color away, but I think this double P color side really looks like EOS, especially it's a 21-inch circle, and it looks quite beautiful with many pieces of this kind of wheel bones. In addition, the front and rear tires of this car are closed, including saying that its tire size is the same, but this car is in a follow-up state. So everyone should pay attention to this. In addition, what about the LiDAR car above? It has two different versions, Falcon Rack 500 and Eagle Rack 700, so if it is in high-end configuration, it is 700. Although Chery's driving assistance system is relatively slow in providing intelligent driving assistance, what about? I think their actual performance is still acceptable. He knows that it can meet some basic daily traffic needs. Isn't the entire side very slender, and the window on the entire side? It is also very straight and flat. At first, Land Rover used this design, and later, cars like the future ES48, etc. all use this feeling. Fortunately, there is a key point at the rear, which is like this: the 3-row SUV model has a pain point. If all 3 rows are filled, the trunk space is actually not that big. So you see, the performance of this car is the same. If the backrest angle of the 3rd row is adjusted backward, its height, including its width, will not perform very well. So this is a pain point that these cars cannot solve. Below, there will be some small storage space, but he didn't do more sinking for you. Because what? Because the drive motor of this car is at the rear, it occupies a lot of space at the rear. Moreover, the overhang price of the front double fork, then the rear multi-link, actually occupies a lot of internal space. So don't expect too much from the space in the rear north box, it's just that it has 3 rows here. This car has 1 row, 2 rows, and 3 rows. All the seats are electric, so the 3 rows of seats are in this place. You can go and guide it very directly and quickly. The entire trunk space is still very flat after it is folded down, so this car has 6 seats. With a layout like 222, I believe that most people are basically in a folded state when they are not in use in 3 rows. There is no problem when the trunk space is folded down. But this car does not spin empty, so please pay attention. After you don't have free time, you have to accept his embarrassment at this height. But now, regardless of many models of his competitors, he has actually given you a sky punch. This car only has CDC, so everyone will worry about its comfort, including those who usually take things with them. Will the new convenience have an impact? Then I think in terms of height, there is no way to make up for this. But in terms of dynamic driving quality, I think we can look forward to it, because Chery is still very capable of improving the chassis. In addition, this car may have air suspension in the future. This is only possible, everyone. You can also look forward to it. Well, let's continue to take a look. When it comes to the interior, it is still the style that Chery has loved very much in the past 2 years. First of all, from the splicing of materials and the sense of layering, a large number of materials with wood grain feeling are used in front of this fillet meter, so it looks. It will increase the actual use age of this car to 3 or 4 years. In fact, it is still a more calm and majestic style, with an instrument panel in the middle, and then the central control here is peaceful. The passenger entertainment screens are connected together, but what about some brands? There will be a Black Phoenix in the middle. It is actually a splicing of two screens, but in this case it is really a screen. So from the actual display effect in this. In terms of technology, its visual effects are still very good, and the clarity of this display is indeed quite good. In terms of UI logic, it can also support frequency division, so these have reached this stage. There is no need to do too much explanation. Also, like the two wireless chargers in this place, they are both 50-watt wireless fast chargers. At the same time, there is a knob here. It is actually a choice of driving mode. There will be a small card here for driving mode. Hey, gasoline, electric, hybrid, pure electric, fuel, priority, forced, pure electric, etc. So let me add this car here. It is a range extender with an extended range of 1.5T. In fact, compared with some other products on the market, it is either increased or it is pure electric, or it is more mainstream like plug-in hybrid. The extended range will make this car more infinitely inclined to it. This kind of pure electric feeling, the entire front row interior feels like this, but one thing that is done well is Chery's ergonomics. For example, when I sit here, its sitting position can be very, very low, so you can see that the headroom is very, very sufficient. In this case, if my friend who likes driving wants to feel the ground more, I can do it lower. Then if I think maybe a higher sitting position and a better field of view, I can do it a little higher. So it has the ability to lower this car, so I think the ergonomics of this car are quite good. Now let's adjust the sitting position in the front row, by the way. Let's go see the space in row 2. Then you will find a problem when you enter the second row. As far as it is concerned, it doesn't equip you with a pedal. Although the height of this car is not particularly high, it is possible that for people of different bodies it will have some bone-supporting legs, so now you look at some models that will equip you with an electric pedal or a fixed pedal. Well, this is a difference in configuration. In addition, this car has everything you should have in the second row, such as the entertainment screen at the top and the refrigerator at the bottom with an independent compressor. It has the lowest temperature of -18 degrees Celsius, and it can be reached like this. With a temperature, it's no problem to move a popsicle, and then there will be a small table in front. Okay, but one thing is that the sitting position in the second row of this car is relatively high. Why? Because if you look at it, there will be a small bulge and steps under the floor. There is a step in the second row and a little bit in the third row, but in fact the third row is not too big, and the steps in the second row will make the sitting position of the second row relatively high. He mentioned that the visual appeal stands out significantly, and it's evident that the headroom remains adequate, showcasing how well the car's ergonomics and platform layout have been designed. Even in this less than ideal situation, you can still maintain quite a good sitting posture. The width of its central channel is actually satisfactory, not exceptionally wide, but just a bit below a particular benchmark. Under these conditions, once I adjust the second row, like the legroom, I find it straightforward to move into the third row without issues. Wow. How about this space? First of all, there is no problem with legroom, and there is even no problem with headroom. Moreover, the third row of this car, as we just mentioned, supports an adjustment of the backrest angle. If I want to put something in the trunk, it takes up a part of it lightly, then I do it straighter. You see, even if I sit straight, there is no problem with headroom. Then if you say that you lie down very hard, then there will be no problem with headroom, so you can lie down the most. This is the most painful thing, but I know that there are some brand models now that may put the third row at a very large angle, but I think it is more dangerous during dynamic driving. So if you sit like this, it's quite comfortable here, and the filling of its seat cushions and the filling of the third row in the back are also included. Note that there are heating on both sides. There is no problem with the configuration, and there is also one above. It has two airbags. This airbag bounces open. For example, when some rear-end collision occurs, the rear of the broken glass will invade the front compartment, and this airbag will protect the passenger very well. This is indeed rarely included in the same class. The distal airbag in the middle, this distal airbag, it is explored twice. So in this way, it can actually be better protected. When there is a collision, there is some collision hazard between the mainframe and the passenger driver. So this is a space expression in the third row. So I think this car is based on space. There is no problem with the performance at all. It just talks about configuration, such as electric pedals, such as magnetic suction ports in the rear row, and some basic functional configurations on the second row of seats. Although it is said to be an independent seat, right? But I think the core selling point of this car is its cost performance. In addition, the most basic power type of this car is that it is an extended range model. It does not have a plug-in hybrid. It has a 1.5T range extender, which brings such an effect. Then its TV package. There are two different versions of capacity, 33 kWh core and a version with nearly 40 kWh of electricity. The vehicle offers rear-wheel and four-wheel drive options. However, the rear-wheel drive currently lacks the large TV package capability, although it might be introduced later. Regardless of the drivetrain, its pure electric range exceeds 220 kilometers, which I believe is more than sufficient. So many people will be asking, should we buy a pure electric car like this, or should we buy a value-added car or a soul plug? To be honest, the usage scenarios will be somewhat different. But if you are just talking about commuting in cities or between cities, either version is completely okay. Overall, the price of this car will still be very attractive. You can look forward to it, and I believe this car will still become another hit after Chery Fengyun A9L.